Well, welcome to the Broker Summit. It's good to see all the brokers and out. My name is Melvin Taylor, President-elect of the Buffalo Niagara Association of Realtors. And for those who can, let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you. And it's a pleasure for me to introduce our keynote speaker today, Sherry Chris. I'm going to read a little bit of her bio, and then I'm going to get out of the way so she can go forward from here. Sherry Chris provides strategic counsel on strengthening relationships, building trust, enhancing collaboration with brokers, leaders of the National Association of Realtors. Sherry Chris is an 18-year veteran of Anywhere Real Estate, Inc., where she most recently served as executive advisor. Previously, she was the CEO of Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate and ERA Real Estate, and earlier as COO of Codwell Banker Real Estate. Without further ado, please welcome our guest speaker, Sherry Chris.
Good morning, everyone. This is our very first Broker Summit here, and I'm so thrilled to be with you today to bring us all together. I want to share really an observation that I have had over the past 16 months being an advisor to NAR. I want to open it up to questions and answers. We had a little pre-breakfast meeting with a smaller group of you, and there were some great questions, some fantastic questions. So I want to do that, and then we'll let the rest of the day unfold. So what I will say, and I know I have a clicker over here to advance my slides. Thank you very much. So just a little background on why we're here, why I'm here, and what we're doing. So I announced my retirement in early 2024 from the real estate industry. I knew I was going to do something, I just wasn't sure what, and I figured if I announced the retirement, then opportunities would come my way, and one did. I got a phone call from Nakia Wright, who is the CEO of the National Association of Realtors, NAR, and she said to me, "We don't know each other, but I need help. I need your help as it relates to brokers across the country." And that I knew to be true back then because things were in a little bit of a turmoil with the class action lawsuits, with sexual harassment allegations, with the New York Times articles, and everything in between. And so I made the decision after having several meetings with her to join NAR as a special advisor and really reach out to brokers across the country and bring us all together for the future of this industry. So it's not an easy job. Actually, it's a little more challenging than I originally thought, but I'm more determined than ever now to work with brokers, 85,000 broker owners across the country, to talk, to listen, to take ideas back to NAR as they continue to rebuild what is very, very necessary, the largest trade organization, of course, in the U.S. with 1.4 million members. Now, when I started my path back in January of 2025, I initially reached out to the 74 large brokers that were excluded from the class action settlement. And of course, that was a challenge itself, because all of them were angry, upset, didn't know what the future was going to hold. And so we started collaborating, talking. Groups of them came into Chicago headquarters, and those conversations are ongoing. But during the course of those meetings, I thought, how am I going to, with a team, reach out to all 85,000 brokers across the country? And so an idea was formed, and that idea is Broker Summits. And so that's what this is today, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about them as we get into the deck. But it's so wonderful to, I know there are, I think, 55 of you here today, to bring brokers together for the very first time to collaborate. You're all competitors out there, that I know, but to collaborate, to talk about the future of the industry, and to share ideas, because you're all intelligent people that have grown and built businesses. And so this excites me to be here and to every one of the summits that I'm at. But let me start with the journey. And I do have a deck that I'd like to share with you. So I want to talk about NAR as I've learned it. So this is not an NAR sales pitch by any means. It's what I did day one, started digging into what the National Association of Realtors stands for from a brokerage perspective and what it means to me. Because honestly, in my 40 years in this industry, I never really paid a lot of attention to NAR. Yes, I was a director for a period of time. I was on the RES advisory board. I chaired it. I did various things, but I never really took a deep dive into what they have and what they don't have until I started with them January 2025. So part of my presentation today is sharing what I understand to be the importance as it relates to all of you. So we can get started. So Nakia Wright, as I'm sure all of you know, joined as an interim CEO back in 2024 and was appointed the permanent CEO later that year. And so for her, she has a very interesting background, and it's one of the reasons why I made the decision to join forces with her. She has a media background. She's what she calls herself a turnaround CEO. So that means no nonsense. She doesn't mind making the cuts that need to be made. She doesn't mind making the decisions that are tough ones. And so what she said to me is, this organization needs to be treated like a public company, not a trade organization. And I said, I agree with you, because I've worked for public companies my entire career. And so one of the first things that she did was create a value proposition for the next 2 years. And the next 2 years only, because things change. And we know that we are in a period of rapid change, and that change is going to continue for many, many years to come. So here's her value proposition that the group put together. I'm not going to read it to you, because you are getting all of these slides, each and every one of you. So you can use them for reference. You can use them at your sales meetings. You can use them when agents walk into your office and say, why am I paying dues? And so I don't think that you've ever had a good answer for that before, and today you're going to get it. So the code of ethics. There has never been a more important time to recognize the code. In this world of craziness, I guess I would say, without going into any detail, to raise the level of professionalism within our industry is very, very important. And so what the code does, of course, is it establishes standards for all of us. It protects transparency and differentiates realtors. And in my talks with brokers across the country, we often talk about the fact that there are licensees and realtors. And if the number of licensees continues to grow, it will never overtake the realtors, in my honest opinion. But we need to make sure that we differentiate ourselves each and every day from a professional standpoint, and in particular with the end consumer. So the real estate industry is evolving, and so is NAR. And I'll tell you, from the time that I started 16 months ago to today, there's been significant changes that have taken place. A lot of them are behind the scenes, but I'm going to share some of the secret changes that have taken place today. So we need a national trade organization. When we think about the fact that real estate is the largest asset, typically, of any family, of any individual, and it needs to be protected. The professionalism needs to be protected, and what realtors do each and every day needs to be at the highest level of professionalism. And so today there are other driving forces out there that are threatening to tear down some of this professionalism, and we need to make sure that that does not happen. So the NAR of today, one of the first things that I noticed in joining was that over the course of several months, about a third of the staff positions were eliminated. Now, we've all been through what we call a reduction in force at your companies. No matter what size your companies are, you've all had it. But there was a systematic downsizing of people whose positions weren't necessary anymore. And then a few people were hired back into different roles, but that's one of the things that's taking place today at NAR. And so this is a slide that never gets shared, and whenever I put it up, people take photos of it, which you're welcome to take photos of any of these slides, but remember you're going to get them. This is Nakia Wright's leadership team. So these are the people who report to her. So I know it's hard to see, I can't even see it, and I'm standing 5 feet from it. It's hard to see the names on these slides, but on this slide, but there she is at the top. And her direct reports, I want to call out each one of them because they're all wonderful and talented people today that are very passionate about ensuring that the National Association of Realtors continues to grow. So, the top column are people who have been in their roles for a period of time. They're not the newbies. And so Shannon McGann, the Chief Advocacy Officer, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about advocacy in a later slide, does an incredible job with her team to promote homeownership for all and look at what rules need to be changed. They lobby each and every day, and I love what she does. Our chief economist, Dr. Lawrence Yoon, also very talented, has been with NAR for a long time. Research and data, of course, couldn't be more important right now. EVP of Innovation and Tech, Mark Bierbosch. You probably have never heard his name because he's in the background managing all of the technology, public-facing technology or realtor-facing technology, and all of the back-end technology as well. And then Beth Brittingham, you never would have heard her name before. What she does is she works with the incoming leadership team, the new president that is going to be, the new president actually that's coming in November is Christine Hansen, who is a Century 21 broker from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Each year there's a new president. Beth works with them to ensure that they understand what their role is and what their responsibilities are along with their team. But here's the new crew here. A new general counsel, John McCloskey, who's no-nonsense general counsel who joined about a year ago and has done a lot in looking at the risk, the future risk of NAR, and de-risking for all members what the future might look like from a legal perspective. Then we have Bennett Richardson, who is the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, coming from outside of the industry. And so communication is key. Obviously, you're going to see a lot more from what he's doing. He started recently, and there are a lot of things underway that I like. I like the position that he's headed in. Then we have Jared Grasso, who oversees the relationships with the state associations, the local associations, the MLSs, to ensure that everyone is working together for the future. And Chief HR Officer Sharon White joined about a year and a half ago and helps manage the hiring and termination of all of the employees from a strategic perspective. A new Chief Data Officer, Dave Conroy, joined. One thing that I noticed at NAR was that there is a lot of data and none of it's talking to one another. So that's job one for him, to put all of that together, and then a new Chief Financial Officer. So she put a new team together as any CEO would, and with the Chief Financial Officer, his mandate now is what we call zero-based budgeting. And so every dollar that is spent at NAR today has to be accounted for. So there's no money going in and money money coming in, money going out, it's all accounted for, and that's the way any business should run, and is the way NAR should run as well. So just as an FYI, you would never know any of these people, but they're a great leadership team. So the NAR strategic plan, under Nikia's leadership, she created a very robust and probably the first strategic plan that has ever seen the light of day at NAR. And so this is a plan that is very, very extensive and has a high level of accountability for everyone who is involved, including me as an outside advisor. And so the plan, I will talk a little bit more through my slides, but it really deals with all aspects of what your dues dollars are paying for, and making sure that what you're paying NAR is being effectively spent for the betterment of yourselves and your agents. So the strategic plan, first of all, commitment to the members, and so that commitment really speaks to helping realtors thrive in their day-to-day business, and equipping realtors with actionable residential and commercial market intelligence and research insights, education opportunities, technology, organizational governance, processes that facilitate. See, I said processes. Now you know where I was born. Does anyone not know what process means? Canada. Yes. I thought I lost my Canadian accent, but I did not. So overhauling budgeting, these are some of the things that are in the strategic plan, and it's an important, it's an important and very high level accountability. And so also to, drive collaborative solutions, to rebuild partnership foundations, and 6.2 in the plan is to elevate brokerage engagement. That's the part that I'm responsible for. And there's a whole sub-plan underneath that speaks to what I, along with the team, does to engage with brokers and ensure that you're communicating, that we're listening, and that we are making the changes that are necessary for this industry. So also commitments to the industry, and that has to do with legal and professionalism, and finally commitments to consumers. We often forget about the fact, not intentionally, that without consumers buying and selling real estate, we're out of a job, basically, right? So that commitment to the consumers is important. And I put this slide in because I've always been held to a very high level of accountability in all of the roles that I've had. I had to ensure that I met the financial goals that were assigned to me, that everything that I did, I was held accountable for. And I know that you do that within your businesses as well. And NAR now does that as well. There's a high level of accountability in every action that's taken. Now, in the past, sometimes decisions were made, what I call in a vacuum. And what that means is that, a group of people just made decisions. That's not happening any longer. And hundreds of thousands of realtors and brokers have been interviewed and surveyed over the past 12 months as to what you need, what you want, and how NAR can help. And these are some that I pulled out that you told us were important. So helping realtors thrive in their day-to-day business. So what does NAR do, and what can NAR do for that? Drive collaborative solutions, protect and advance the legal interests. These are all very important according to the hundreds of thousands that were interviewed and surveyed. Advocate for property ownership, build a proactive organization, rebuild partnership foundations. So you'll see that these are all part of the strategic plan. This work was done before, and the plan came to be as a result of this feedback and others. So for me, I thought, okay, what does NAR do for us exactly? It's a huge organization, a little bit smaller now, but what do you get for your money? And so I uncovered what I believe are the 5 buckets that are most important to all of you, and I hope that you agree with them. The first one is advocacy, and I mentioned earlier that Shannon and her team do a lot around that. I'll give you some examples. The second is research and data. The third, education and events. The fourth, legal. And the fifth, technology. And so those are my 5 buckets of importance. When I took them back to my colleagues at NAR, they were like, yes, but we've never really articulated them that way before. So we'll take a little bit of a deeper dive into each of them. So advocacy, well, there's so much. You have to pull out a few things to talk about, but this is one that I like. Over the past 10 years, NAR defeated 11 harmful tax proposals that saved the industry over $2.3 trillion. I said, are you sure it wasn't 2.3 billion? No, $2.3 trillion. So that's one. There is so much, we spoke earlier this morning about during COVID, the PPP, the agents and realtors as essential workers. All of that was lobbied, managed, and handled by the NAR advocacy team. So education and events. A complete overhaul is taking place in that because quite honestly, a lot of the education that was offered was what I consider to be old-fashioned. We need AI education today. We need education and training on different things than we needed 10, 15 years ago. And so there's a whole team who's working on that based on feedback as to what agents, what realtors want. And so events. One of the things that I always felt was going to the national conference seemed a little old-fashioned, where they had the gala inauguration of the president, and then there was the big, famous band played, and the president chose what band they want. I'm like, come on, that doesn't work anymore. So all of that is gone. And today, Next, which is the annual conference, and RLM are focused more on learning, on education, not fanciness and not wasting money. And RLM, of course, is coming up next month, and Next will be in November in New Orleans. And so I'm interested in attending this year just to really take in all of the changes that are happening for brokers, sessions, and realtors, etc. So times are changing. Research and data. We need it. Lawrence and his team does a great job. In fact, they recently launched, which you can access as brokers on the nar.realtor site, a broker tool to go into your marketplaces and dissect average sale price, demographic of buyers, who's buying what, neighborhoods, that type of thing. They're constantly working on new technology as it relates to data for you, so I urge you to look at that. And then legal, well, we can't talk about the past because, and I've said this often, is that sometimes it takes a catastrophic event to take place to really facilitate extreme change, and that's what happened. And so hopefully that will never happen again. But I love the fact that our legal team is doing a risk assessment based on the current rules and regulations, and they are still settling cases, as you probably know, and hopefully that will end someday soon. I've got some QR codes up here. You can do it later. You don't have to put your phones up now, but for more information on forms, etc. There's also a new AI policy document that you can download to use for your companies. There's more and more coming. So technology and tools. There's great technology out there, and not all of us are using it, but with NAR, of course, RPR, I'm going to show you a couple of RPR slides, and then my colleague Ray will get up here and take a deeper dive into RPR, which is an incredible tool, as hopefully you know. But Aside from that, Second Century Ventures is a wholly owned subsidiary of NAR, where they partner with startup technology companies that they help bring into the mainstream. And there are a number of companies that, I think there are 36 right now that they're incubating and will come into the mainstream for you. It's a little below the radar, but you're probably using some NAR, Second Century Venture and Reach company tools right now. So RPR, and Ray, I don't want to steal any of your thunder, which I absolutely won't, but if we look at RPR itself, 540,000 realtors used RPR in 2025, and you see the 18.4 million engaged sessions, etc. So it's a significant platform that is important to use. Here's what I like, and I asked the RPR marketing team to create a couple of slides as they relate to brokers that can help you tremendously. So, and this slide says turn 45 minutes of work into 5. And so you can take their data and actually create PowerPoint, video, and oops, I'm not going to play that, and social posts for your social media and your agent's social media. Why wouldn't you be using these tools? And they're important tools. You don't have to use them yourselves. Peter Hunt isn't going to go on RPR, but I want to make sure that somebody on your team, yes, is doing it. So that is RPR. And there's one more video which I will play. You can't see these numbers, so I apologize. So, Ray, am I doing okay? Did I give a good build-up for you? For yours? Yes. Okay. So, let's move on from RPR. I want to talk about what has taken place in the past 16 months as it relates to brokers. And so, I mentioned when I started with the large brokers, meeting with them, realizing there are 85,000 broker owners across the country, what could be a good strategy to meet with groups of brokers. And so the idea that came out of it was Broker Summit. And so here we are having the first one today, and I want to say these started about a little over a year ago, and in 2025, we held 47 broker summits across the country with anywhere from 50 to 200, 300 brokers, depending on the trading area, getting together, meeting, talking, listening, moving forward together. So I want to commend you all for attending today, your very first. And I know that we're already talking about a virtual one and planning for next year. So 47 broker summits. So I was on the road almost the entire year last year, and I will be on the road almost the entire year this year. Some of them are virtual, and some of the smaller associations I don't attend in person. But I've literally met with tens of thousands of broker owners in the past 16 months at sessions like this, and we're going to continue. And almost every one that took place was the first ever. So, it got me thinking, why has this never happened before? And it's because we were all so busy doing other things and trying to keep our businesses moving forward that it just never happened. And so there are other things that have been built now around the importance for brokers. And one is the Broker Power Hour, which takes place 6 times a year, more for smaller brokers than large enterprise companies, but those are really good. And there's a site called broker.realtor as part of the Realtor site that you should go on and look at all of the resources there. You can sign up for the Power Hour. There are meetings and focus groups, there's surveys that you can take to let us know what you want, and more education and more forms that are going up there, including the new AI policy. So it's all in the works and coming, but we need to know from you what you want. But I will tell you that, you know, this year there are over 50 now have been scheduled, 50 broker summits across. So it's a big wave, a new movement, and it's all because of you and for you. So here are broker tools that you can utilize, and so you might want to use this QR code or just go to broker.realtor. So some of the things that have been built, website templates, member value campaign toolkit, sales meeting playbook, and sales meeting playbook, again, more for smaller brokerages than large, but have you ever woken up like I have when I was managing brokerage offices and looking at my calendar and thinking, oh, I've got a sales meeting this morning and nothing planned for it. So these are tools that help you, and we keep adding more and more to that. The next May Power Hour I urge you to sign up for is May 27th. And actually, it's going to be a very interesting one because our new Chief Marketing Officer, Bennett Richardson, and his team have put together a presentation geared towards brokers on how to market yourself. And so I urge you to register for this, sign up. Typically we get about 3,000 brokers on the Zoom. And there's an opportunity for Q&A at the end. It's usually about 45 to 50 minutes. Please, please sign up. They're very, very good. And this is a slide that shouldn't even be there. So let's talk about the dues. And this was something that I had to dive into as well. So and I know there are state and local dues too, but I'm talking about national here. So $156 per year, plus there's a temporary $45 special assessment. So that takes you to $201 per year. And so for that, you get everything that I just talked about, which I think is a pretty good value. And I want you to know it and understand it for when your agents come in and say, I don't want to pay the dues. I would say, do you not want to be in the business? It's a small price to pay. So for $201, I said, okay, that's great, that's not much, but how does it get broken up? Because, I always heard rumors about the fact that almost all of it went to maintaining the buildings and all the staff and everything. And so I said, I need a breakdown of where this money goes. And so I'm going to share that with you now. And so, it's interesting and good. $70 of it goes to advocacy, as I believe it should, because that is very important for the future of our industry. And then $2.50 goes to Lawrence Yun in research. He doesn't need much money for what he does. And if you look at internal operations, only $20 goes to internal operations. And so you'll see this pie chart, is marketing and communications, 11, industry relations, etc. So that's where the money goes. And I was pleasantly surprised when I had the opportunity to take this and got permission from NAR to share it with everyone. I used it at each and every presentation. Because, we're being challenged today, and we're going to continue to be challenged in the future. And so being armed with as much information as you can have is very important. So a year ago, I would not have put this slide up because in my early broker summits, I can tell you nobody wanted to get involved. Everybody was upset, angry, not liking what was happening, And I say what a difference a year makes, because as the year went on, people and brokers and agents started settling back into what they do and what they need to do. And so today I want to ask you to get involved as a committee member. There are many different things that you can do. We have different focus groups that take place, so your QR codes are here. And without your involvement, we can't move forward with your voice. So it's important to get involved. I want to share a story with you about being involved. And at the recent President's Circle RPAC event in Las Vegas that I was at, I took the opportunity to meet with groups of brokers there. And I wanted to get feedback from them, like, why are you, President's Circle RPAC? And, tell me about your brokerage. And so 2 little anecdotes that I'd like to share. One night at a dinner, Nakia and I hosted a dinner of brokers. And 2 of the brokers at the table, we asked, like, what is your involvement with NAR? 2 brokers at the table told us that one of the requirements of being an agent in their office is that they have to have the CRS designation. That was 2 brokers at the same dinner table that didn't even know one another. So I'm thinking that is, that's using the opportunity to raise the professionalism bar to the nth degree. Then I met with another broker who has about 180 agents, and I met with her separately, and so I said, what is your involvement? And she said, I require every one of my agents to volunteer at either the local, state, or national level. So I thought, wow, like, that's incredible. I had never heard that before. And so there are a lot of companies out there that, the brokers are raising the bar in different ways. And so I say that in the hopes that more of you will get involved. And so I want to end before we go to Q&A with 5 takeaways. And this is what I've learned over the past year. These are questions that I've had. Am I okay for time? Yes. No? Yes. Okay. My 5 takeaways in all of the, probably almost 70 broker summits that I've had. So number 1, brokerages, and I believe this to be true, and this is a question that I get asked all the time, what's going to happen to the small brokers with all of the consolidation that goes on within our industry and will continue to go on? Is it going to change so there'll only be a few big companies? My answer is no. There's room for all of us in this industry. There's room for companies of all different sizes. Yes, there will be consolidation, for sure, but there's room for small companies, medium companies. Not everyone wants to work for a large company. But you have to make sure as broker owners that you define and refine your value proposition to the nth degree. What do you stand for? You can't be all things to all people, nor should you be. So who are you? What do you stand for? And you will attract the right agents to your companies. Don't try and do it all, and that way, no matter what your size, you'll be relevant in the future. That's number 1. Number 2, brokers must familiarize themselves with AI and how to use it. And so, if I don't hear the letters AI at least 10 times a day, it's because I've been in my home not talking to anyone. So AI is obviously very important to the future of everything, and there's so much noise out there about job loss and Google laying off tens of thousands of people because of AI, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what I say about real estate is that we don't have tech jobs. We're people helping people move on to the next phase of our lives through real estate. And an AI bot is not going to be able to complete all of that. But we have to make sure that we understand what the capabilities of AI are. We have to utilize them to enhance our businesses. And we have to keep up to date always as AI continues to evolve. I love using it, and I use it each and every day, but I use it for research. So before I came here, I researched how many members are in this association, all sorts of different pieces of information that before would have taken, like I have to email 5 people to get it. So it's wonderful. But make sure that your agents are familiar with it. Download our paper that we just released and use it effectively, not just for AI-enhanced photos, which look pretty good, but no, don't do it. Okay, number 3. Brokers must teach their agents how to communicate to consumers the value of using a realtor. And so, I often hear, what's NAR? NAR has to, have more campaigns. And yes, NAR does have to have more effective campaigns around the importance of a realtor. But I want to say that it's up to all of us as well. It's up to you to educate your agents. It's up to your agents to educate the consumer. Yes, I know that getting in front of a consumer is the goal, obviously, but always articulate and remember the importance of professionalism and the designation realtor. So never forget that. Use it at your sales meetings. Just reinforce it each and every day. There are interlopers that are going to continue to invade our business. Number 4, brokers must proactively communicate industry changes to their agents. And this is something that NAR fell down on over the years, where the last thing you want as a broker or a leader is to be sitting in your office where an agent comes in and says, I just saw on Inman News X. So we can't let the news media run our lives. So we need to, at NAR, communicate more effectively to you, and you, I suggest and urge you to communicate to your agents as to what the changes are going on. That means that you have to keep on top of everything. And so how is by making sure that you're going on the Realtor site, the NAR site, and that you're reading each and every day. Dedicate, I do it. I spend my first hour every morning, early every morning, reading everything and making sure that I'm up to date with everything that's going on, having to do with business and real estate, and then I start my day. So don't let others be delivering the message that you're able to deliver. And number 5, brokers must look beyond personal passions and treat their businesses as a strategic and saleable asset. And why did I put that in? Because, in my many years of real estate, I've talked to brokers who have said, I'm passionately independent. I'll never join forces with anyone. I'll never sell my company, et cetera, et cetera. So what I urge you to do as leaders is to set that aside and grow your businesses strategically, treat it as a saleable asset, and take your personal passions out of your business and keep them personal. And so I could go on and on with many more, but these are the 5 that really have resonated in doing so many of these summits over so many months. So now let's talk. So I'm hoping there are some questions. I think we have about 15 minutes left for questions. So who wants to kick it off? I can take the hard ones too, so you don't have to throw me a softie. Anyone? Yes, sir.
The $45 assessment, that was earmarked for?
And that was the $45 assessment, good question. $45 assessment was originally earmarked for additional consumer advertising campaigns, but was utilized for part of the settlement payment. Yeah.
And where did that fit into the pie chart? Where did that?
That did not fit into the pie chart. So the pie chart itself, God, you've got good detail, man.
I'm paying attention.
That's good. So the pie chart was a 156. Yeah, but I didn't want to, because if I didn't put the 45 in, then you would say, well, I'm paying 201.
Right.
So I put it in. Thank you. Peter.
High water mark in our industry was 6.12 million units in 2021. We're about 4 million now.
Can
Can we take the mic?
Yeah,
We
we need
can't
a
hear
mic.
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
The high water mark was 6.12 million units in 2021. It's hovered around 4 million every year since then. Trailed out. 2022 was a better year, but it's been 4 million about ever since. Each year, NAR, Fannie Mae always predict that it's going to go up, and it never does. Are we in a relatively permanent level of business where we are right now? And if so, how is there enough business for everybody?
Wow, that's a loaded question, Peter, and I hope everyone heard it. I'll first say that it's probably a question best answered by Lawrence Yun, the economist. But what I will say is that there are many things that are outside of our control. Interest rates, for example, the capital gains tax on principal residences, affordability. The first-time home buyer average age now is 40. Which is very old compared to what it used to be. And so and the baby boomers are not moving. They're staying in their homes because of capital gains and because they're younger than they used to be. They're physically more fit and younger. So to answer your question, I will say I don't know personally, but I do believe that there will be a moment in time where we have a slightly different model and less realtors. Today we have 1.4 million realtors, down 100,000 from 1.5 a year ago. So do you have a follow-up?
That was my follow-up. If you see us losing 100,000 members in 1 year, or thereabouts, where will we be if this stays at, say, 4 million units a year? I mean, what's the right number? So there's enough business for people to make a living in our industry.
And, it's a good question, actually, and it is, if there are people that are satisfied with making no money or, having 1 or 2 sales and stay in and pay the dues, then, that's their opportunity to do so as independent contractors. But it really begs a very different conversation, and I will tell you that in different groups, brokers have said to me, we should double the dues and downsize the industry. So I don't know whether that's where you were going with that, Peter, but that's an opinion or opinions of brokers that I won't say whether I share that opinion or not.
Well, one of the things that strikes me as we look at the numbers, all the numbers, is that NAR is built on a large number of
Correct.
members. And you mentioned about protecting the independent contractor status, yet we know that's always under attack.
Yes.
If there was no independent contractor status, we can safely assume the industry would be at best half its size, because we brokers would now be paying our agents a salary to be in the industry. We would think twice about who we would hire under those circumstances. Is that not, I know it's been talked about, but is that not driving right against what NAR is all about, but maybe in the long run, in terms of professionalism? Because look at Europe. Agents in Europe, for the most part, are employees.
Correct, and
It's a much smaller industry.
It is, and I will tell you that when I started in real estate, agents were employees in Canada when I started, and other companies have tried that model, Redfin, for example, and others. And so it's an ongoing conversation that never goes away and needs to continue. There's my very vague answer back to you. So, thank you, Peter. Yes, take the microphone, please.
Yes, here in the Buffalo area, last month there were 451 closed sales. There's 3,370 agents here. And how do you go ahead and break up a pie like that? And I do believe that, a pathway to professionalism and everything else is, we have too many people getting in too easily. The licensing rights are, to get a license, to go ahead and get $75 in to get a license. Brokers can get it after 2 years. I think we really need to go ahead and do something to go ahead and make sure that we have true professionals out there.
I don't disagree with you at all, and to change the requirements for continuing education is obviously a good starting point, and I know it's being looked at. I know it is, and the future of how many members there should be, and the future of what NAR looks like. is all being discussed regularly. So, thank you for that. Other questions? Yes, sir, we need a microphone to you.
Two-part question.
Okay.
You mentioned you're from Canada a couple times. Who you'll be rooting for tonight in hockey?
Well,
We need to go Sabres. I mean,
I'm an American now, so.
Okay. All right.
I have 2 passports.
Very good.
How did you like that for a vague answer? Okay.
No, serious question. Healthcare is always a problem.
Yes.
Independent contractors, it's been talked about year after year after year. Is there anything in the future that may be being looked at to help these agents?
It continues to be on the table, I will tell you that, and being looked at. What I will say is that for the past few years, NAR has been in, what I would characterize personally as a crisis mode, because the settlement payments that are due, there are 2 more payments due, that needed to be a priority, so the association didn't go bankrupt and didn't have to go into bankruptcy. So that was priority number 1. All of these things that are important for the future continue to be on the table, and I will take back the fact that you asked about healthcare again. Well, not you asking again, but I get it every time, so thank you for that. And I don't know whether I'll be watching the hockey game tonight or not. Questions? Don't be shy.
From your experience as a broker, now knowing what you know at NAR, what do you wish you knew back then that you would have used or implemented differently for your brokerage?
Well, that's a good question. I will honestly say, based on what I talked about today, that I would speak more to my agents about professionalism and less, always sales training, like how to get the next deal. But to balance both of those, because if we think about training sessions, and I remember myself delivering training sessions on aggressive sales techniques, which are important, we're all in sales, we continue to be, but that has to be balanced with how to treat your colleagues and your clients in a professional manner. So that's my off the top of my head answer. Thanks. Anyone else? Okay, well, I think we're good and right on time, and I don't know, oh, yeah, so here is, if you don't mind, and again, you can do it later, we would like to get more information from you, by way of a survey, so if you put your phone up and do that, or, I know that in the follow-up information, we'll send this QR code to you. Without your feedback, decisions are made without your feedback, basically, so please. And we don't want that to happen, so thank you for that. And then the final thing is, if any of you, and I've given my personal email out and my cell phone number to everybody, to tens of thousands of brokers. In fact, over the past year, I've been in front of a total audience of over 50,000 people, agents, brokers, conferences, and summits. Nobody has ever abused my cell phone. So please reach out. I need to hear from you. Whatever information you send me, or thoughts, ideas, I will disseminate it and get it to the right people. And I would like to continue to add to my database of colleagues across the country with all of you as well. So please reach out. It's up here. We'll leave it up here for a moment if you can see it. And I want to thank you for your time today. And I look forward to, I know some of you, I look forward to getting to know all of you in the months and years to come. Thank you very much.
All right, that was very good information. Next, we'll have Ray Grinwowski. Did I pronounce your name? Ray? You got Ray? There you go. Close? Close. Tell me I want to say it right.
I've been called worse.
Come on, I'm ready.
Thank you very much.
I guess just starting off, I got it from the top, Mr. Leonardi, that he would like to see, there was some people asking about questions, not knowing everyone that was in the room. So he was asking if everyone could take some time, because we have a little bit of time, to introduce yourself, state what company you're with, and if you have just a quick fun fact, I'm gonna pass the microphone around, and we don't want to take it too long, but ultimately, he thought it was very important for people to know who's in the room. So I'm gonna hand it over and keep rolling.
Lisa Avery. Oh, Howard Hanna. Robin Suppa, Howard Hanna. Amy Ruth, Howard Hanna.
Curtis Newrider, Howard Hanna.
Brenda O'Connor, Trained Real Estate.
Deanna Lorendi, Howard Hanna, immediate past president of Beaner.
Matthew Whitehead, Howard Hanna.
Katie Cabral, Howard Hanna.
Mary Fudge, Early Sunrise Realty.
Garrett Ferrugia, Robert E. Schaff, Insurance and Real Estate.
Sammy Jo McCoy, Howard Hanna.
Gina Gelati, Howard Hanna.
Judy Lee, Remax North.
Sue Chaskis, Howard Hanna.
Rosalind Bergen Phillips, Emmett Mutry Murphy Bergen Realty Group.
Tamika Murphy, Moultrie Murphy, Bergen Realty Group.
Mike Alwani, Queen City Realty.
Joel Asfar from EXP Realty.
Joni Bunn, Holiday Valley Realty.
Karen Mock, broker owner of Iconic Real Estate and also on the Reese Board of Managers.
Pete Peterson, President of MJ Peterson.
Mike Johnson, Howard Hanna.
Peter Scarcello, Hunt Real Estate.
Susan Ballard, Hunt Real Estate.
Rick Dentinger, Hunter Real Estate.
Mary Beth Dentinger, Hunt Real Estate.
Erica French, Metro Roberts.
Jenna Wigston, Metro Roberts.
Ariel Willard, Metro Roberts.
Lindsay Kasperzak, Metro Roberts.
Jim Roberts, Metro Roberts. John Rummel, Metro Roberts.
Andre Scott, Scott Realty Group.
Time, brother.
Amber Wesser, Hunt Real Estate.
David Weitzel, Element Realty.
Doug Murray and BBM Realty.
Nan Melissa, Keller Williams.
Aaron Stanley, Green Home Revolution.
Eric Winklehofer, Sector 21.
No, not stay. Hey, who did I miss? Melvin Taylor, NACA.
Peter Hunt, Real Estate.
Brother Wallen.
Thank you very much. That was great. That was much quicker than I thought, hopefully you guys aren't losing a little of your energy. I want to introduce myself. My name is Ray Gronowski. I work for RPR. I'm Vice President of Broker and Specialty Services. And part of my role and why I'm actually here is to make sure as a broker owner, you're familiar with RPR. I know everyone knows RPR, but ultimately, are they implementing the things that RPR has that add value to, your organization, add value to what you're doing? So, I'm going to take a little bit of time. I'm going to try to make it. In fact, some of the notes I got was actually, no BS in the technology. Make sure you stick to the facts. Use some examples. Focus in on some numbers that you have. So I'm going to throw out some different things, but I think it's really, really important to understand how this can help you as a brokerage, and that's what I'm really trying to do. Okay, So with that, just want to start off with just a definition that I probably could ask all of you, and I wonder if I'd get different answers, but when an agent asks, what is RPR? As a manager owner, how do you explain that? And that's all this is trying to do, is basically take a minute and explain that it's again, a national database of parcel-centric data. It's built for realtors. There's no consumer access. I can't believe how many people continue to think that consumers have access to this data. And again, there's no additional cost to use the system like that. So again, very simple, very straightforward, and something that I want to make sure as a manager that you know. Now, RPR, and I think I took some time to actually explain that, even this mission, is because yesterday at dinner, I actually even had a broker that said, I didn't even know RPR was still out there. It hasn't been talked about that much in our area. And again, that's why I'm here, is hopefully to re-engage, ask you to take a step in, to really look at this, because there are some people that are using it very, very well. There's some people that are maybe unfamiliar with it. So, what's our focus? What's our mission? Mission is pretty simple, is we want to create efficiency, for your agent. The business is fragmented. The number of technologies they're using is fragmented. We're trying to create some efficiencies with the tool that we're offering. Secondly, we want your agents to demonstrate their knowledge. And demonstrating their knowledge doesn't necessarily mean flapping their gums and telling someone. It's actually talking through it and then demonstrating it or showing it with fact. And I think that's something that we feel with the data in RPR, it's really critical. And then lastly, we want to reinforce not only the Realtor brand, but your brand. And I'm going to talk about something that I do not believe a large percentage of you, in fact, first number, I'm going to talk about something with regards to broker tools, that it is 70, let me think about this now, 72% of you, 72% of the companies that are here are now participating in something called broker tools. And my goal today is hopefully you all run back to your offices and actually register or sign up for this, because it's unfortunate that you spend a lot of money promoting your name, a lot of money promoting your brand, a lot of money actually advertising your brand, yet when you have something out in front of you, you're not taking complete advantage of it. And I want to make sure you all have that opportunity. So, just real quickly, RPR, basically 165 million properties are in the database, commercial and residential. It's important to understand all the data that revolves around it, because some people think there's different types of data that's there, but whether it's actually public records, whether it's listing data, whether it's the shareable market trends, whether it's all the mapping data, whether it's actually flood zones, traffic counts, points of interest, your school and neighborhood information, and also trade area and economic reports. So all of that is in the system to be able to use, and not everyone uses all of that information together, so don't feel you have to be an expert in everything that's there. If you are a commercial practitioner or a dual practitioner, I have to remind you that there is commercial data in here. There's a toggle at the very beginning that can shift it to commercial. We right now have the single largest commercial database out there. And part of that is because we actually have not only the local CIEs contributing data to it, we've got companies like Brevitas and Crexy and Total Office and several other organizations that were aggregating that data, because the commercial business is so fragmented. And part of you that actually use some of the other services that are out there say, boy, those cost a lot of money. And I only do 1 or 2 commercial transactions a year. This is something that could actually truly help you. I like to put this slide up just because there are people that use RPR many different ways. Some people say it's just for research, and that's fine. Use it for research. Some people say, oh, it's a CMA. The CMA is fantastic. That's all I use it for, is the CMA. Maybe it's the reports that are generated. So a lot of different ways. So when I like to put this up here, it basically is, in a meeting like today, I can't go through all these things. I can't actually demonstrate and show. I'm going to show some highlights for sure, but I want to make sure you understand there's many different ways. There might be 1 or 2 areas that kind of tickle your fancy to say, oh, I didn't know it could be used for that. And I love seeing all the cameras coming out and taking the photos, because that's what it's designed to do, is make sure that you're familiar with all the different aspects of RPR. Some quick stats. Last year, over 540,000 users, over 19.5 million engaged sessions, and a net promoter score that's been as high as 70, currently about 58 to 60. And just to give you some perspective, the net promoter score is something that technology companies use, and it runs from a plus 100 to a minus 100. So a 58 or 60 score is very high. And it has to do with usability, it has to do with frequency, it has to do with engagement, so that some of those things. So again, a couple of key facts from that standpoint. Now, how about this association? What's the usage of this association? 23%. First fact is that is low. It's very low. If I actually look at a couple of the, and I'm going to look at all of them, I mispronounce it, is it the Alliance of MLSs that are participating, but I want to just show a couple of the other kind of sister associations in the area, specifically, where's it at here? Where's it at? I wanted to actually throw a number up to you. Let's just say that's the lowest. I think Syracuse might have been at 29%. Rochester was at 25%. Nationally, we're sitting about 34%. So definitely an area that we'd like to bolster a little bit. We'd like to actually bring more value. Maybe it's in familiarity. Maybe it's a re-engagement. Maybe it's more knowledge. So that's just something to be aware of from that standpoint. We've got companies that are doing much more than that. In fact, I'll talk a bit about that in a moment here. But here's the question that I want to ask all of you. Are you taking full advantage of RPR? As an organization, are you taking full advantage of RPR? First thing I'm going to talk about is broker tools. And as I stated, 28% of you are taking advantage of this. So 73% are not. If you're not, I hope you do. I hope you take some time to take advantage of this. In fact, when I looked at this list, I think the list that Dorian gave me had about 25 to 28 different brokerages here. There were like 6 or 7 that are using this. And what's funny about it, the 6 or 7 are the largest companies. You know, it's the Peter Hunts. It's actually the Howard Hannas. It's the Metro Roberts. All of them are engaged with this tool. So hopefully you have a chance to actually engage also. So let's talk a little bit about this. I'm not going to actually spend time on this. Sherry actually referenced some different numbers, but over 9,000 companies are engaged with broker tools. But here's the components of broker tools. It's kind of simple, but in the same instance, I was hired to engage brokerages. You know, many agents and many brokerages basically said, this is a great tool that RPR is offering, but if it's available to all the associates, why do I care? Let the association train. Let the MLS train. Let's not focus in on that. We'll focus in on other tools. Well, my role is to make sure I figured out a way for the brokerages to care. Because what I find is that when the broker cares, the agents care. When the agents care, it increases usage. When it increases usage, it increases value, it increases ROI. So all those things are actually tied together. So I want to make sure you're aware. So those are the components that I'm going to talk real briefly about in this thing. But the first one is actually the branding piece. When I talk about branding, you have to register for this. But first thing is it brands the application, which is actually cool. It brands the mobile app to your company. It brands all the reports that are generated. In fact, just a simple thing, this is what a report looks like if you're not using it, the 73% of the companies that are not using it, and this is what it looks like when it's branded. So again, why not hand something out that is actually promoting your organization right away? So that's comment number one. Second piece, custom pages. You have the ability to customize the reports the way you want. You can differentiate yourself. In fact, we even allow them to change the cover page now. But ultimately, you can add different components to the page. Whether it's actually, why use us? or maybe it's talking about your culture, or maybe it's actually the map of all your office locations, or maybe it's a community involvement, or even why use a realtor. But you have a chance to customize it. So don't get caught up in the technology world of total differentiation, because make the differentiation your implementation. You know, everyone runs out and wants the next greatest thing, but quite frankly, what about implementation? How often in the technologies that you buy or you use, do you look at usage numbers? Are people using it? You think it's a great product, but are people using it? So something to continue to look at. Here's an idea of custom pages. It's a Coldwell Banker company that added 4 custom pages that has like a letter from their president, letter from the family, all their locations, where their locations are, and kind of what they believe in. So again, really gives them a chance to actually make it different from that standpoint. Affiliated service modules. Now again, this might not apply to every single organization here. It does apply to the larger organizations, but this is an opportunity to promote mortgage, title, home warranty, concierge services with your agents. Remind them of the value of adding to the transaction of helping a consumer get through this process. And that's becoming bigger and bigger. So we have a number of companies that actually will set these modules up, and all these modules is an opportunity to remind the agents of that relationship. In fact, this is just a picture of if you're actually on the system, and I slide down and you can see a little reminder there of that mortgage relationship. And then what it does is it prints on the back page of every report that mortgage relationship too. And I can set that up various ways. I can set that up with multiple people in one office, or I can set it up as something that actually has a different person in every office. So again, taking advantage of the resources that you're trying to provide to them. An AVM widget. We actually had a gentleman by the name of Lennox Scott. Many of you might know in Seattle. He always competes with the Zillow Zestimate. And in a meeting, he kept saying, like, I am so tired of losing traffic to that Zestimate. Can you create something that actually provides value, eye candy, a way to get people to my website? And maybe it has some stickiness. So we created an AVM that could be used. This is what the AVM looks at in totality. But here's an example of how people will use it, is that this company at the very top might have something that's called What's My Home Worth? And they create What's My Home Worth and the data that they want to capture. And when they capture that data, we provide the result. And the result is a national result. It's a national value of that property. And the idea is some people use it to capture a lead. Some people use it just as eye candy to get traffic and stickiness to the website. And this is an AVM that's national. So if you've got someone that's actually moving in from Chicago into Buffalo, or someone going from Buffalo to somewhere else, they can actually look at those things. So something to be aware of from that standpoint. Here's how another company uses it. They don't use the whole piece. They just use the value and say, here's what the Zillow Zestimate shows. Here's what RPR shows. But you know what? You want to know the real value? Call us. We know the real value. We know the situation that's out there. We know the properties in the area. So something that they generate for leads. So that's just another piece there. And then lastly, there's an area called deep links that if you run a heavy intranet that your agents are using, it basically is something that can drive your agents directly into certain components of RPR, rather than come in through the front door if you wanted to go just to reports, or if you wanted to go just to the CRM or CMA. If you wanted to go directly to market trends, they can do that. So that's all those are. So the reason I actually reference all of those is because, again, my goal is you want greater value with NAR, you want greater value in RPR. That's step one, is take a moment and actually, again, register for this. We've got 286 of the largest companies nationally using this. We also have 13 of the national brands that have said, we want to do this nationally, at least get the branding out there, because we want to make sure that all of our RE/MAX franchisees, or all of our Next Home franchisees, or all of our ERA franchisees are actually at least promoting the brand. So that is actually step number one. So if you have not registered in the past, you can go to our blog. But this is something that if you want information on your own company, usage currently, so you can set a baseline. You can actually go to this QR code, and it'll give you two choices to go. Either one, you want to register for broker tools, or number two, you want to understand the usage numbers in what's there. And I wanted to reference a couple of companies that I thought were pretty interesting that should be recognized from this area. Is that top company usage in this area is, quite frankly, the EXP company. They're 44% usage. Next company, or next two companies that are tied at 36 is Howard Hanna and Metro Roberts. 36% usage. Next one after that, you have a Remax company, smaller organization, at 33%. And then you have the Hunt organization at 29%. So like I said, 6 to 7 companies that are using it to that degree. And when we do that, we can actually gather statistics for you. We can provide how many reports are being run. We can provide usage numbers. We can provide how they're using it. So take advantage of that. Now, let's move on to maybe some highlights of our PR. That was actually the brokerage portion of what I wanted. In fact, maybe I'll just stop. Do you have any questions on that? Any comments on that? Go ahead. Yes.
Any more additions being made to the commercial side that you can share with us?
Any more additions? We're always looking at integrations. I mean, maybe if I can connect you with our commercial person directly, if you're looking a little bit deeper into that. But there's always, I'm going to talk about scriptwriter that's actually in there using AI on the commercial side. We're always trying to get more and more data. The more data, and sometimes it's a challenge. But we're on it, because what we're finding is that NAR and the people that are commercial practitioners in NAR are looking for value, and they're seeing that RPR can provide that value, and we just need to continue to stay on that. So we love the feedback. There, so thank you. We had one other question here.
So do you pull from Crexi and LoopNet?
Yes. What was the second one you said? Crexi, yes. What was the other one?
Crexi and LoopNet?
LoopNet, no.
Okay.
LoopNet, no.
You do pull from
Crexi, yes. And that's why I say there's variations. I can go through a list and provide you a list of all of those commercial organizations that we pull from, or actually they send us the data. So good. All right. Well, let's keep moving on then. Let's move on to some basic property information. Is that, again, I'm taking this approach that with 23% usage in this area, I'm trying to get a baseline. I want you to understand the base concepts. If I was here next year, and I'm asked to come back, I'm talking about different things. And I'm talking about really focusing on it, but I want to make sure everyone has some basic information. So when you actually log into the system, there is actually on the front page, as you've got your markets that you can set up. It's kind of akin to a hot sheet, so you can put as many of those towns on there, and it's going to share with you, what's for sale, what's for lease, what's pending, what's for sale, what's closed. In fact, just as an FYI, in Chicago, which Sherry talked a little bit about some of the changes, in Chicago, we even get the private listings. Because again, the idea that continue to come is we're an extension of the MLS. And with the private listings out of MRED, what they're fighting is actually setting the listings to the portal, but they want listings private to be available to the realtor. So that is something that is in RPR, and we continue to see how that is going to go. And I know that's a question. You say, well, what's private? I think that's the definition. What is the idea of private? And that could be a whole other session that I'm sure Sherry and I could have done at some point. But the idea is the front page is basically there to give you the information that's actually there on that front page to get you started. What's going on? What's happening from that standpoint? And then there's some educational pieces. But when you actually put a property into the system, there's some basic information that is in the system that you should be aware of. Not only does it capture all the photos, whether the photos were put in currently or they were put in 15 years ago during the system. In fact, if you actually look at the basic information of closed price, it's got an RVM, that's that Realtor Valuation Model piece, and some basic information. But it also actually has some of the pricing tools that are used in your application. Not in everyone's, you're not gonna see everyone's numbers, but in your system, it's gonna have a description of the property. It's going to have the listing facts and the public records facts. We always find that that's funny how that varies sometimes. And you could actually keep a little note on why that might vary. You also have the ability to have the interior features, exterior features, the legal description. You actually have the school information in there. You actually have the owner's facts, the location details, all the listing history, whether it's actually previous been listed or its current listing, all the changes that have occurred with regards to pricing. You can compare the records. You can look at it from the time it was listed 10 years ago and compare it to now and see what changes, see what's different. And then you have all the public records. You have deed information, mortgage information, tax information, all in one spot. So the idea, again, in creating efficiency is not having your agents bounce to 3 different sites to get that information. Make it easy for them to access. So that's the idea. And then lastly, it even shows all the financing activity that property has had over the past 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or since inception. So that's just basic property information. I know that's basic, but I would just want you to know how rich RPR is and the kind of data that's there. Now let's talk about just some of the hot topics. I think Sherry kind of alluded to a couple of these things. I'm going to expand on a little bit more. One is the something called our market trends. Over 4.6 million times our market trends has been used. Idea there is really to give insights to what's happening in the marketplace. There's a couple of different graphs and charts that you can actually use, and you can send, or you can include into a PowerPoint, or you can include into a flyer, or you can send via social media, but real easy to use that are updated on a monthly basis. We also have something called ScriptWriter, and this is our AI piece. You know, Sherry talked about how important AI is. My fear in my travels is I hear people talking about AI, but I see as many people fearful of AI as I do people that want to use it. And they're saying, like, how do I use it? Give me a little small area that I can test it a little bit. And this is something I think can be done. And I'll talk a little bit about this AI scriptwriter tied to market trends. So here's an example for you. You actually have a market trends report that's in the system that gives some key statistics here. You have the ability that says create a script. And I can click on creating a script. And it gives you 6 different areas, and again, this is using AI, to create a script tied to that specific property. In fact, the first one basically will, all of them will actually ask you, are you actually trying to make it professional, friendly, warm and reassuring? If you're talking to a move-up buyer, a seller, a downsized seller, a distressed seller, whatever it may be. And then what it does is this first one will create an article. And the article takes 25 data points from that market area and creates an article on what's going on in the marketplace this month, right now. You can text it to yourself, you can text it to someone else, you can take it to Word, you can correct it, you can change it, you can do everything. But the idea is, in your workflow, we don't want you to spend time trying to write what's there. Have something to start with, a basis, and correct that. But that's just one simple piece. Another one might be a social media card. Everyone's talking about social media now, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. What if you could take those stats and you could plug them into one of 200, 250 different cards that can be sent out directly, where the scriptwriter will write a little caption that you can actually send out. And the idea there is that if you're branded, it's going to brand to your company. Your agent's photo is going to be on there. And it's going to create a consistency of what's happening in the marketplace. So that, again, is something that's there. We also have videos that are there. Create a 15-second video on what's in the market, what's going on in the marketplace there, in the area that you're talking about. Very simple to use, and the 15 seconds isn't taking a picture of yourself. It basically is 15 seconds on what's going on in the marketplace, maybe to stop people from scrolling, to go, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here? What's happening here? So all of those pieces are there. There's a script writer even to, actually, if you wanted to film yourself on what's happening in the marketplace. But the idea is it's using AI. It's not describing the listing like most people will use it, and it creates something that will help you in your workflow. But the key here is that having the data alone is not enough. Is you need to be, the context, the clarity. You need to show that you're helping that client with regards to the facts and not just kind of flapping your gum. So that is one component. And then again, here when you talk about the commercial side, we have a commercial script writer too. We didn't want to leave the commercial folks out there. So if you're looking at trying to create a one-page summary on what's going on, or a detailed report, or a PowerPoint presentation, or some social media videos, they're all right there for the commercial practitioner too. So that's a hot thing. Sherry said AI is big. Here's your starter right there, AI. You can go back to today and you can use it right now. Reports. We actually, last year, revised all of our reports. So if you're someone that said, hey, I used to use RPR years ago and got away from it, you're gonna get in there and there's a whole new set of reports in there that can be used with a lot more flexibility. In fact, all the reports that can be generated are listed there. There's about 9 different reports. There's actually commercial reports. They all can be customized from that standpoint based on your workflow. You can adjust those based on where you want the pages to be now. You can slide them around. So if you want, all the photos at the end because there's so many photos that you're actually describing, or maybe you want school districts up, or maybe you want some of the information on what your company believes or what your culture is, whatever it may be, you could slide these pages all over, and then you could save with the name, so the next time you start with the template. So next time you put a different home in there, it's starting with a simple template that actually you created. So now here's a cool thing, again, an example for you on how to use it. We actually set it up where you don't only have to send, you don't have to send just a PDF, or you don't have to actually print it. You can send it as a link. Now you might say, well, that's pretty normal, right? You send a document as a link, when people click on it, they open it up and see it. But here's what's cool, is that it will update every 48 hours. So if you send that report out today, and someone doesn't update it or click on it for a week, it will update that report with updated, fresh information. If they actually click on it 3 months from now, it will update that information. As long as they do it within 1 year, the information will be updated. So you talk again about creating efficiency, is that you don't have to keep sending the same report. You could keep reminding the person of that report. You could actually say, hey, do you remember that link I sent that showed the value of your neighborhood or what's happening? Take a look at it now. Take a look at it now. So again, it's something that actually is there and saves time. And here's a way some of the smaller companies have used this in their examples, since we wanted examples, is that this is a website that a smaller organization created, and they actually created a report for every one of the markets that they're actually working in by zip code. So anytime a consumer would click on that report, it would give them a fresh report. So they could click that fresh report. Now here's an example of that report. They changed the cover page. They made it look like Arizona. It's an Arizona company. They had a page, custom page, that actually is focused in on their company, usage numbers, their presence, the success they're having, and then they end up using 5 RPR pages to create that document. So again, simple to do, easy to implement. Question is do you take the time to implement it? Would it add value? And I think that's where we're going. So if you want more information on the next gen reports and how they work, or the promotion piece, take a quick photo of that QR code and gather that information. So one last feature.
Wait, go back.
You're okay. You were trying to take a picture. Good. I see all the cameras coming up. I know. Look at all the cameras. Holy cows. Good job. It's the 80%. That's good. That's good. That's what I like. All good? No? One more? Each more? Yes. Yes. Okay. one, what's that question? What? Oh, one more, you wanna go back again? Okay. Yes, you can, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, Doreen's got them, Doreen, you're fine to send those out. As Sherry said before, these are for you. And again, the idea is to give you the information that you can use. So, mobile features, I have to state this because what I found is that the older folks, me being one of them, I've been in the business 40 years, us older folks sometimes think this is only a desktop version, that RPR is only for desktop. Well, guess what? The younger folks only think there's a mobile app. There is a mobile app, so you got both. They're all tied together. Again, you can get instant access to any of the properties. You can do the same search. You can run reports. It's got a location finder, so it is there for you. But there's a couple of cool features, again, using AI that we have in there. One is our property insights. And what this is an opportunity where, let's just say you're driving to the airport, or you're driving to the ball game, or you're going to a Sabres game tonight, and you get a call, and someone says, hey, did you see that new property that just got listed? And you're like, I didn't get a chance to look at it. You can put that property in the system. It will actually summarize, using AI, all of the best features of that property. And then actually you can just text it right back to someone. Now again, I would always say to review it, to give it a look. But the whole idea is to give some insight to the property in a very efficient and speedy way. And then the last thing with regards to AI that I want to talk about is we just rolled out a AI mobile CMA. Okay, AI mobile CMA. And this is kind of a wow. This is the wow factor that's there. And the idea is we actually are calling it beta just because we only have it on the mobile right now. So it's only something you can do on the mobile. But what it does, the key features, is it basically will offer you whether or not you want to do a seller or a buyer CMA, first of all. With the change in the industry, we got to look at both, right? It will take and score all the properties that were within a geographic area of that property, so that it will score them based on a number of different features that you can pick and choose which ones you want to use. It's going to have pricing strategies, offer strategies, an in-depth analysis, CMA summary, but it's really, really cool because the whole idea is it gets really deep into, okay, what if we list the property at X? Based on what's happening in the marketplace, what can we expect? What's the strategy behind it? What could happen? How many multiple offers I'm going to get? Today I heard I was talking to someone today that had 81 offers on a property in Buffalo this week. Oh my gosh. So the idea is that, to use something like this and see what the strategy is. If I price it really high, what's gonna happen? And it outlines all the information here, all the potential outcomes through that report. Really, really kind of cool with regards to that strategy that's there. So just something to be in mind, try it. I would say, give it a try. Get a feel for it. I think you'll be impressed. And then with regards to support and resources, we don't want to leave you on your own. We know that you need the support. As a broker owner, I want to make sure you can reference our blog. At any time, it's blog.narrpr.com. It's sitting right here on the bottom. On there, you actually have you got live and recorded sessions. There's like tear sheets that actually are one-page tutorials. There's short videos. There's printable handouts. So all of that is actually on there. We also do national training. You can plug into any national training that's run. I think we run 4 or 5 classes a month that you can register for, your agents can register for. They're all via Zoom from that standpoint. And if you miss it, we'll send out the recording to it. And we also have a call center. So we're not expecting the broker owners to actually have to answer every single question. Send them to the call center. That's what they're there for. And this one I really like, just as a sales meeting tidbit. Again, trying to give you some value added here is there's a section in our blog that basically has these little vignettes of little training pieces, and I can see using that in a sales meeting, because ultimately RPR is not something that is going to be a one-trick pony. It's something you're trying to change the behavior of an agent and trying to use it and think about it. So to take little components of it in a sales meeting, talk about it, have them use that component, come back a week later and try something else, I think would be a great way to roll that out. And all of that, since Sherry had that pie chart that was showing all the different areas that money's being spent, I wanted to make sure that we had that pie chart too to show that $13 of your dues yearly is going toward our PR. So, we want you to take advantage of it. We want to hear, we're here to help you. We're to help you get engaged. So with that, is there any other questions or comments or even thoughts that you might have with regards to what I talked about today?
What AI platforms do you use?
We kind of customized it. I'm not sure where it's referencing, where it's tied to. What's that? The question was what AI, what was the term you used?
What AI platform?
Platform, yeah. And the thing is that the way our marketing people set it up, they were looking at a couple of different things. I don't think it's just straight ChatGPT. It's something else. I don't know. I can get that answer for you though. Finance, because that's an important piece. Yes, I agree. And I think the key is that making sure we've tested it, we've used it, people are just raving about it. So, other question?
Just as a matter of information, we do offer the RPR training 3 to 4 times a year. So if you're interested, Doreen will look at the calendar, speak to the instructor, and we do offer the mobile class as well.
So, I see another hand go up over here. Okay. Well, let me just ask this question then, the feedback. Was this helpful? Was this okay? I want to make sure that we're actually delivering what you want. I mean, ultimately, like I said, we've been out there for a while. We'd love to get increased usage. This is an important area for us, and we're here to help. So, with that, I think that kind of brings to my last slide. I'm going to take a page from Sherry with regards to key takeaways. And she listed 5 takeaways on the broker side. Here's 5 takeaways for you. Is 1, use RPR the way it best fits you. What might work for the Hunt organization is not necessarily the one that's going to work for Empire Realty. There's different tools, resources, education that they may take advantage of, so keep that in mind. Number 2, we're here to help you get the most out of RPR, whether it's actually through the blog, through our trainers, through our call center, through a call to me. We're here to help you. And lastly, it's here to create efficiency, but as a brokerage, save you money. Don't get caught up in the rat race of running to the next shiny new project or shiny new tool that's out there. Make sure you're using the things that are right in front of you that can really return ROI to you. So with that, I think I'm good. So I want to thank you for your time, and thanks for running well.
Okay, so we're running a few minutes early. Are there any questions you have for myself or staff before we take a quick break for lunch? We've got 30 minutes for lunch, and then when we come back, we'll have our panel, which will be hosted by Sherry. Questions, concerns?
I just got one question.
Yes.
You know what you say an hour and a half.
You know, we like to feed people. They say if you feed realtors, they'll come. So we have, we're just running a little early, so I think this is a good time to take a quick break, look at your phones, come back at exactly noon, or just come back and get your lunch, answer some emails. Thank you.
Start at 12:30, and we're going to move things up a little bit so we get started. I know your stomach is feeling really nice and heavy, and so we want to keep you engaged. And without this, let me see, we got Sherry Chris that is actually going to moderate for the panelists. So I'm going to ask that the panelists would come to the platform. Rosalind Burton, Peter Hunt, Brett Llewellyn, James Roberts, or Jimmy. There you go. And And I'm going to step down and turn this over to Sherry.
Okay, so we're all set. I've got this. So, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. And what I think we're going to do is we're going to try and, keep things ahead of schedule for the rest of the day, and maybe you can get out early. You get let out of school early. So, yeah. So I love that there's actual fire here for the fireside chat, right? Hilarious. So nobody's laughing. We're fired up with fire. So this is actually one of my favorite things is to hear from the brokers what you all have to say. I'm going to ask you to share some secrets that you normally wouldn't, and so the audience can walk away today with some information that might help you grow your businesses and help you operate your businesses. So I'm guessing everyone knows these panelists, or do we need to do an intro? Jim? Okay, well, let's start with you then.
I'm Jim Roberts with Metro Roberts.
Thank you.
Rosalind Bergen with Moultrie, Murphy, Bergen, Realty.
Peter Hunt on real estate.
Brooklyn, M.J. Peterson.
Thank you all for agreeing to this. And I know we had a prep call, so we decided what we were going to talk about. And I'm going to dive right in. And I'm actually going to start with Brett. And so, Brett, in today's competitive real estate market, what skills and strategies do you need to stand out to potential agents, clients? What's different today than, when did you start, by the way? How long have you been in this game?
This is my 24th year.
Okay, so you're a child still, compared to some of us, right? Yeah, so, okay, so let's hear, like, when you started, and today is very different, what skills do you think broker owners and managers need today?
Well, I've got a few little cheat sheets here just in case I was asked this question, but I think right now we have to go ahead and keep up with the new laws and the policies and the procedures and that are taking place in our industry right now. The paperwork that has changed for all of us, and I mean, in getting your agents to go ahead and, I mean, not all the agents are coming into the office now, and it's like, and when did these buyer agreements start? And I'm like, oh my God. The liability that we have when they're not trained, they don't have the knowledge. So I think, as brokers, we have to go ahead and stay in tune with what's going on out there. Inman, I read a couple of things in the morning as soon as I come in. At night, I still read the Buffalo News and the Wall Street Journal just to stay up on what's going on there. And the business first, you've got to know what's going on in our industry there. So you've got to be, conveying that to these agents, and whether it's through the office meeting or through emails or whatever, you've got to let them know what, is going on in the industry.
It is different because it makes me think back to the early days, and Peter, I'm going to ask you the same question, that, nothing really happened back in the day, like you led your people and they sold homes, but today we do need to keep on top of everything, news-wise, and with new forms, new ways of doing business, etc. Peter, how would you answer the same question? And I know that, your operation is big, your son Charlie is CEO now, so, but I know you have a wealth of knowledge.
Depends on what I say here. Anyway, I'm a junkie for the financial news, and I second everything Brett said, but I think we need to be, for our people, we need to be a beacon of understanding that goes beyond our industry. There's a lot of gossip columns from the industry that you can read every day, and you're going to hear the news about who bought who and who merged with what and who's got the new technology platform. And if you take all that technology and mix it up in a big pot, it hasn't added one iota to person productivity in this industry. So we've got to know it, but if we're obsessed with that, I think we're missing the point. I heard a quote today from a guy named David Epstein, who wrote a book called Inside the Box, as opposed to out of the box thinking. And his quote was this: focus ruthlessly on what we're trying to communicate to the customer. We become so focused on ourselves and our agents that we've lost track of the person who's actually paying the bills. I think if we can communicate anything to our people, is to remember that our job is to serve customers and clients. Our job, and I've heard this argument, Sharon, you've heard it before too, our customers are our agents. Okay, I buy that, we have to sell them services. But if you look at it from a pure business standpoint, the broker is the customer. We are buying services from our agents, but we've twisted this all around. By doing that, it's as much up to the agents to prove their value to us as it is us to prove our value to them. And I think one thing that's happened in our industry is the brokers have basically priced themselves out of the market by virtue of the explosion in models of compensation that have just basically made it impossible for brokers of any scale to really try to perform the kind of services that, I'm not going to say we used to perform, but I think a good business should perform for its agents. So we've got a new set of challenges to do, but I think that quote about focusing ruthlessly on what we're trying to communicate to the customer.
I love that, Peter. I really do. And, you know, it makes me think of social media today where I go on Instagram and, you know, a couple of weeks ago, there was another consolidation announcement of two large firms. And suddenly all of these agents and, you know, I call them maybe industry gadflies, for lack of a better term, were commenting on it and saying, you know, what they thought and what they think. And as I looked at it, first of all, I'm asking myself, why am I reading this? And secondly, I'm thinking, you know, they have no idea what they're talking about. They're just talking. And so I think as industry leaders now, we need to, you know, take that back, own it, and communicate effectively, just like you're saying, Peter. And so Rosalind, you know, I'm guessing that you're a communications expert.
No, I'm not, but.
You look like one.
Your and the thing is, when I started, it was not so long ago, 17 years ago, I'm now starting.
You're young.
I'm a baby in the group that pays.
You got time. Okay.
But, back then, you had, there wasn't the Zillow and all the technology out there. So I think now it's keeping our agents focused on the fact that they are the trusted advisor.
Exactly.
They are the ones that you've got all these buyers coming to you that are saying this house here, that house there, this website, they're all over, they're telling you what the price should be. So encouraging and training the agents that are in our group to understand you are the trusted advisor.
Yes.
You're the expert.
And that's what we like to call our agents, is trusted advisors to the consumer. And to keep reinforcing that is very important. Yes. Jim, what do you think?
I can talk about that.
Yes, you can. Why do you have color coordinated microphones here? Like
Yeah, there, this is nice. I got my license when I was 19, so almost 6 years ago. Being funny, but I've been in it. But I've seen all the different changes, all the different models in West New York, and one thing I think that's a benefit to all agents and the brokers is the ability to learn things is much easier than when I got it. When I got my license, we had one computer, we would share, we'd sign up just like you're out at a bar waiting to get the pool table, that's how we would do it. And now with technology and stuff, it's so much easier. I just think if we focus on our agents and our agents focus on our consumer, regardless of the model, regardless of what's going on in the climate, you'll be successful. And as brokers, I think you gotta constantly be bringing tools, and one of the things I would recommend to any broker in here, I've heard him in news, RSI Media was the best thing that I ever did personally for my company, RSI Media. And they have a conference once a year. I encourage any manager, any broker to go there. And the guy that runs it is John Featherston. I'm trying to get him to come to our company. But a breadth of knowledge, on the cutting edge of everything, and it's just a great learning tool that I look at every single day, so that's it.
You know, I'm really glad you brought that up because ongoing education is very important for you as industry leaders. And there's not one source that can provide it all. So you can't get it all here, you get some here, you get some at NAR, but to go out to different, like, pick the one that works for you best. And RIS Media, I'll be there in September. And
I'll be there with you.
Good, because it is good to learn what's happening outside of your trading area, outside of your association, and outside of your company as well. So thank you for sharing that, Jim. And I'm going to stay with you, and it's kind of, we're taking a deeper dive now into, we talked about what's changed communication-wise, but, what do you do today to retain your agents? And it's, there's so many opportunities for agents. Give us some tips.
Well, I think obviously the climate is changing, as Peter said, there's compression of company dollar and such like that. And what we've done as a company is try to make our ecosystem much bigger, to bring more value to our agents by bringing in-house digital, commission advance, et cetera. And then also having 3 to 4 trainings a week to try to compete. Agents back in the day where it's a totally different agent. So we just keep bringing more services. Yesterday we announced that we have an in-house sign company. There was a hole in the market for that, so we brought it in-house, and our agents love that. And all the tools, we ask them what they want, and we try to incorporate that. And obviously, in order to stay in business these days, you have to have an ecosystem of services, or you just can't do it, be competitive. So we just...
I like ecosystem, I like that a lot. Rosalind, how would you answer this?
I agree with Jim, but I do know that there are smaller brokers who may not be able to bring in the systems. So I just encourage brokers to look, because there are sign guides out there, there's photos. Encourage if you're a smaller broker, look for the tools, and agree, bring in the tools, but look for, if you can't have them in-house, they're out there, there's so much out there.
There is, isn't there?
I just want to say I agree 100% with you. There's not one fit for everybody. Agents that want to be with Rosalind are not probably a good fit for me, and vice versa. So I do think, but as a company, if you try to scale it, you do have to bring in certain things because of the compression of the company dollar and the fact that you see the new models that are coming up every day. There'll be a new one being announced here in the next probably 90 days that's going to be off the rails. And it's going to be very hard for the brokers to fend that off if they don't bring value. Whatever that value is, it can be small niche, it can be tools, whatever that may be.
And agents really are looking for different things. So some agents want to belong to a large organization, be part of a big team. Others are more, sole proprietor and doing their own thing. And so it's very important, and I spoke about this earlier, to try and attract the agents that fit your niche culturally, right? And here you've got big, a lot of agents. So for retention, I'm sure you have a detailed retention plan. What can you share that might scale, at all different size companies?
I think it's really 2 things, for us anyway. Number one is to emphasize with our people the value that they uniquely bring to every client that they deal with. Now, the value of being with us is the enhanced services that they can provide through our organization to that client. The other thing I think we must all, in our own way, define, and that is the culture of our organization. What is it about us that is our reason for existence? What is it about being associated with our company and their association with others in the company that binds us together? And those things are identifiable. You have to do that all for yourselves, but in our organization, we greatly value our physical presence, being with each other, learning from each other, as Jim points out, trainings. That's just one means, but we also emphasize the social connection as well. How do we interact with, so to speak, our hair down, those of us that still have hair, and it's just so it's an opportunity to just get to know one another beyond a transaction. Through the association, we talked about, well, because we're involved in the association, it's going to be easier to do transactions across company, and I think that's all well and good, but the bottom line is, inside our organization, how do we make it easier for each other to do business through the services we provide to our sales professionals and then that they provide to our clients. So if we enhance the value of the sales professional and we build a culture around that where we really like to be with one another because we're gaining from that experience, I think we can serve to retain people. We're not going to retain everybody. Jim points out there's gonna be things that attract to our company that won't attract to others and vice versa. And I think that's a healthy thing.
Yeah, it reminds me of when I was managing real estate offices, and one Friday, I was sitting at my desk, and an agent came in and said, I'm leaving. They always do it on a Friday afternoon to ruin your weekend, right? And so they.
In bunches.
Yeah. I'm leaving, I'm going to another company to be part of a team, which that was a novelty back then. So I'm like, okay, and so then a half an hour later, another agent came in, and they were leaving for the same reason. And then a third agent came in. And so that was my Friday afternoon. I called my regional manager, and I thought that he was going to have a lot of sympathy for me. I said, oh, this is the worst Friday ever. And here's what's happened, 3 agents, in the course of an hour. And so he said, Sherry, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Start recruiting and build your office bigger so it doesn't matter as much. And so I always remember that from many years ago, that we can't take things personally, right, Brett? And so,
Exactly.
Yes.
I remember Merle Whitehead having the same conversation with me when you lost 2 good ones, and it's like, pull them up, and it's time to go ahead and rebuild, and I know you will. So it's like, as far as retention goes and stuff, a lot can be said about, polishing the existing apples instead of, tending to the big orchard. And it's like, you've got good people on your team, and it's like, you've got to go ahead and be with them, know what they're going through, be a part of their family. And I mean, retention is about bringing them into your own family. And, as Peter said, it's all about the culture. It's more important than the numbers. And it's like, you can build an army, but the whole thing is you get one private out there that is AWOL, or he does that one deal a year, or he comes in and he doesn't know how to do that deal, and he doesn't know the paperwork or anything. It's a liability on the brokers and everything else if they're not knowledgeable, they're not up with the trends, or they're not unethical, they just don't know any better. So I just think going ahead and bringing the right people in, getting them trained, getting the knowledge that they need as fast as you can, and then staying in touch with them.
And so when we talk about bringing the right people in, let's talk about recruiting, or as I like to call it, talent attraction, because I think it sounds more dignified than recruiting. So how do you recruit? Now we're going into the deep, dark secrets of our industry.
I'd have to kill you if I tell you all the secrets, but I think it starts with a great management team, and it's from the top to the bottom. You've got to go ahead and have a CEO, a president of the company that's aware of what's going on. You've got to have good managers. They're there for you, the IT, your marketing director, all the way, the office administrators are key. They know when you're having a bad day and a good day. They've got to let you know as a manager, someone's having a meltdown, somebody's doing this, and there's one every day in every office, and it's like, and you've got to celebrate those, those accomplishments when they're there, and you've got to be there to go ahead and give them a shoulder when they need that. And I think it's your reputation. I think you've got a good team, and you've got that good support mechanism, the tools. I think you need a good environment for them to come work in. Also, I believe in a full service agency where you've got, copy machines at work, and, the up-to-date, TVs and everything else, so that the Zoom meetings and all of those things are at their fingertips, and it's expensive to do it, but I think it's a good merit for attracting, good talent.
I'm sure agents have left before because the copy machine was taken away. I'm being serious, or the photocopier didn't work, if you still use photocopiers. Jim, what can you add to this?
It's 2026, and I think as broker owners, we have to look at what's out in the real world, and the real world has changed for real estate agents and the models. And if you look at real trends, top 5 movers and shakers, there's all one parallel. You have agents are the lifeblood of what we do, and you have to compensate them accordingly. So we're constantly moving the needle with that, because without agents, there's no brokerage. Regardless of the name of your company, that is the the way it's gonna be. And it's just getting that way more and more every day. And if you look at the #1 broker in the world this year for mover and shaker, it's a virtual model with a great tech stack. And they'll be in this area in the next probably 120 days, and it's gonna be a difference maker. But for us as a company, we started profit sharing. We believe that our agents are the lifeline, and we wanna give back more to them. So that's what we're trying to do, like the virtual models do. That's one of the things we're doing.
Okay, that's good. Rosalind?
I agree with everything the guys have said here, but I also know that we're out there dealing with different brokers involved in board. It's just about who you are and who you attract. Respect and having, someone mentioned reputation. I think the reputation goes a long way in people wanting to come and work with you because of the respect they have for you. So I think that's important.
And Peter, sophisticated talent attraction strategy, yes.
Well, just about a year ago, I had all of our leadership team meet in another city, and we spent the full day discussing just this very topic. It began by Charlie, my son, leading a discussion of what exactly is holding us back. What's keeping us from growing at the pace that we would want to grow at. And everything came out, as you might imagine, by pages of information we distributed back to everybody. And then we started breaking down really what's going to take to get us going where we want to go. And it really begins with, first of all, understanding why people are with us. What is it about us that makes us who we are? And then underscoring those items to take that back out to the world. Because we can't compete, we're not going to compete with the next whatever. And as Jim says, it's going to happen. There's going to be somebody out there who's going to come up with some scheme that is going to seem really attractive to somebody. And somebody's going to walk into my office like they walk into yours, Sherry, and say, Peter, it's a business decision. I've got to do this, I've got to do that, because it's a business decision. I got to be concerned about my family. Okay, I'm glad you're concerned about your family. How long have you known these guys? Anyway, but it's interesting. I've had the opportunity to meet with some of the people Jim refers to, the owners and heads of these companies that started these EXP, real LPT, face-to-face meetings to try to figure out what it is about them that they think is going to eat our lunch. And Jim pointed out technology, and he's pointed out compensation, profit sharing, all those things. There will be something else, and we'll have to deal with it. But underscoring all that really is what we have to sell. What is it about us that makes us who we are? And it goes back to all the things we've already been discussing, but it's not only what, it's who and how does that presentation. The people making the presentations, the people that are talking to potential recruits, whether they be brand new or experienced people, it has to be based on a level of passion about what it is that we do that's happening, that's not happening elsewhere. If there's no passion there, forget it, it's going to come down to money. If it comes down to money, I'll admit it, we'll lose. And I'm happy to lose because there's a point at which it just doesn't make sense to add that additional agent because there's no upside I can see.
Well, and that's really being true to yourself and true to your company, is that you can't be all things to all people. You can't bring in all agents at any cost. We've seen companies do that before, and they ultimately fail at it over an extended period of time. But I want to move on into talking about, in today's world, communication, and how do you communicate effectively. Brett, I'll start with you. Here's some examples. Do you have weekly sales meetings? Do you have Zoom meetings? Do you have in-person meetings? Do you send out communications about changes within the industry? What do you do to keep your group together?
Well, since the pandemic, getting people into the office has been a tough road. I mean, you're gonna have a hybrid just as we do with our board and everything else now, it's like there may be 30 on in the hybrid meeting and 12 in the office. And it's like, we were always told to, get up, dress up, and show up. And I still believe in that. And we do have just a monthly meeting in each one of our offices. If you missed the one, you can go to one of the other locations or something, which is good there. But, we believe in being proactive and, letting them know by emails, sending out some of the admin things that are coming out, sending out the articles. I cut them out and my wife is like, you've got like 6 pair of shears in the thing, because I'm cutting out articles that I think are relevant for the agents. They gotta be in tune with what's going on in the world. We do have, Leap into Success, which is a program for new agents to come in and get 7, intense days on how to deal with overcoming objections and things like that. Objection handling is crucial for a new agent, and it's amazing how an agent that's been in the market 4 or 5 years still needs a good objection handling, thing where they can practice it in the mirror like we once did. But we have Breakfast with Champions. We have that on a monthly basis. So about once a week there is something going on that is going out, if not on a weekly basis, from the general manager on what we're doing in our organization and making sure there's good communication.
That's great. And do you get good turnouts to these meetings?
You know what, I said, if you need help with me or one of the managers and you come to the meeting, you're gonna get an immediate response. But I guilt them into going ahead and coming, and we've got good participation. I would say we're probably at least 30 to 35% in-house, and I bet you we probably have 30% that are hybrid now. So I tell them if they need help, they've got to go ahead and be able to. I'm only asking for once a month meeting, and I want them to know what's going on in the industry.
I like it. Rosalind, how do you handle communication?
Communication in many ways. So we do twice a month meetings, and I came from weekly sales meetings, and I never missed a sales meeting. But we do twice a month, once via Zoom and then one in person, and then we use WhatsApp for communication. That if there's a message, it needs to go through email, WhatsApp, text message, all of it. It's just a constant reaching out to agents. And if I haven't seen an agent in a while, I'll reach out and just say, what's going on? How are you? So it's constant. And I'm fortunate enough to have 2 business partners, so it works well with us spreading out and making sure we keep touching the agents that are in our group.
I like the idea of reaching out if you haven't seen someone for a while, and just reaching out and saying, hey, you haven't been in the office, I haven't seen you, what's going on, right? So it's noticing, and it's actually, in my mind, it's a form of accountability, and you're holding them accountable. And someone that was very close to me many years ago, and a very wise person, he said accountability, the definition of accountability is noticing without judgment. And that always stuck with me as something very important. Noticing without judgment. So I'm not judging you, I'm just noticing that I haven't seen you in a while, or you haven't sold anything in a while, or whatever that is. Jim, what can you add to this?
Do a lot for communication. We have a monthly happy hour for our agents to come. No better way to get agents to come if you offer free beer. So we do that. We're actually going to have a roller skating party next month, so that's going to be better than this. But we also created an intranet that everything is on there. It's built out.
We probably spent way too much money on building it out, but it allows our agents to access it and to access everything that we're doing on a daily basis. We've also incorporated Slack for all of our staffs to communicate, even though my daughter's here, she keeps saying, did you see it in Slack? Did you see it in Slack? I forget to do it, but that's a great communication. And then we have weekly trainings on Saturdays and Tuesdays. And then we built out a room for Zoom because our turnouts are terrible in our office. So even though we built out this classroom, when we built out the Zoom, we're getting about 40 people on each training, which is, for us, it's a lot, so it's good. So we do a little bit of everything. A lot of social interaction,
And I like using, the communication tools, WhatsApp and Slack, because people are more likely to see them than emails. The emails just kind of fall by the wayside, so that's good. Yeah, Peter, what about Hunt Realty?
Go on forever, but this is something that been near and dear to my heart for a long time. It began a long time ago when we were only in one region to have quarterly general sales meetings, and we made them a circus. We had skits, we had awards, we had all kinds of stuff, and it was just fun. And at the same time, there was a message. There was a quarterly message that I delivered, my father delivered, or somebody delivered, an outside speaker perhaps, that kept them up to speed on what was going on inside our company and outside of our company. We began a radio show with communication public 30-something years ago, and going to record another one tomorrow. And we have the largest audience on either FM or AM dial on Saturday mornings. Excuse me. To this day, it's about 10,000 people, which is more than we get on any post, which is, everybody says, well, you gotta be in social media, yes, well, we post everything, we have all of our radio shows are archived, we have a blog, we have all that stuff going on, so there's constant communication that way as well. We also have a podcast that we record, which is out there, called Realizing Real Estate, which is an interview program that I do with people in the community and inside the industry, which...
Nakia Wright would be willing to go
I'd love
on
to.
that. Yeah.
That'd be great.
She just launched a podcast, and so she just started interviewing people, and now she's getting, the floodgates are opening with companies, so let's connect on that.
Definitely do
Yeah,
that.
we'll do that.
I also issue memos to our staff regularly. When COVID hit, excuse me, as Brett points out, initially I was writing a memo a day, and that got a little bit tiresome for me and everybody reading them. And then we went to weekly, monthly, and we still do that to a lesser extent today. But there was a topic, there was something we had to address that was affecting everybody. I don't feel necessarily that there's a topic that has that degree of regularity right now. So I'm not waiting for something to happen, but I want to address, for example, and I did a recent meeting with some of our people, that what is the impact of war on our industry? So I went back and did some research on what happened to real estate, all real estate activity following or in the wake of or during a war. And it's very interesting if you ever want to take a look at it. That's the kind of communication we want to keep open. What's happening around us, as well as what's happening inside the industry, who are the greatest speakers in the industry. We brought everybody in over time.
Well, you want to give them information that they don't readily have available, and that's where it becomes useful to them. I want to ask a question that we didn't talk about before, and that is community involvement and the importance of it. And, any one of you can speak up on this, but are you involved in community charity? Yes.
So, we're very involved in the community. We do a meat raffle, that's every year, and we actually pick two non-for-profit each year, and we give the proceeds of the meat raffle minus the expense to the board a check. And then we also have been doing, for the last 10 years, turkey giveaway. So that was started prior to, we're in our 6th year, but my two business partners started the turkey giveaway. And this last year we were able to give away 1,000 turkeys.
That's fantastic.
We do home buying seminars, and our home buying seminars attract at least 200 people. So we're very involved in the community because we believe in home ownership.
That's good, and Jim, I think you are as well, right?
Not that good, but my wife runs our nonprofit. It's called Metro Home Committee, and we do a lot of things for the committee. We focus on, we let our agents vote on which charities we're gonna do for the year, but we made like 90 blankets last week for the Haven House, or one of the, and then we do the turkeys and do a lot for veterans. We just had a meat raffle. We're able to donate 4 dogs to veterans that came back. Then we have a veteran program where if anybody wants to, if they sell their house to us, that is a veteran, we have to give back 12%. And we also have a thing more, if you are a veteran, you want to go to school, we'll pay for that via whether it's appraisal or real estate, so we do that. We do a lot of stuff, giving back our staff that's here, they're volunteering constantly for different things, so try to do as much as we can.
It's great because that also builds your culture and builds community within your companies. Peter, Brad, anything you want to add?
And way back when, 5 friends and I got together because, for whatever reason, we felt we were being kind of picked apart by local charities, being asked for this or that or something else. So we formed a foundation called the Buffalo Renaissance Foundation, which still exists today and given away millions of dollars over that period of time. Mary Jo and I formed our own family foundation years ago for the purpose mainly to support educational interests in the community and outside of our community, all the communities we serve. Because I think it's important that there's a good reason for people to stay in each of the communities that we're in, and the best reason that I can think of is they're getting a great education, they're being prepared for the future, and if we make it attractive for them to stay here, I think that's a great thing. About maybe now 4 years ago, I opened an art gallery. And good question, why the hell did I do that? Well, I still don't know, but we had space in the space that we were leasing where we created 7 studios, and we give away the studios to emerging artists for free for 6 months at a time, and then in the 7th month they have their own show in our studio, or in our main gallery, and that our next show is May 15th. If you want to stop down, we have an opening event. You're all welcome. It's not for profit, and it's a great opportunity to. We had 60 applications for the last 6 positions, so it's becoming something of consequence.
It's great to get back to those in need, and I love the art.
And I'm missing a meeting right now, which is the new committee that's being formed by Roswell for art in their building, and it has to be on this committee, mainly because Roswell bought some art from our gallery, but the point is that through art, I think we can make a great impact on our community. I didn't know this, but it's happening, and so it's just one opportunity, but we've been very involved in United Way. Everyone here from my company has been deeply involved in that. My wife and I chaired the campaign. I think it's very important. We chose the United Way for one reason, because it encompasses so many elements of our community, and we all know that we're getting picked apart by various development officers of every kind of organization that you can think of, and there's been an explosion of this development effort. Long story short, it's very hard to pick. So we picked an organization that made it easy for our people to do what we think is the most good.
That's awesome, and I commend all of you. Brett, I don't know whether you have anything to add. We have about 4 minutes left, so
One quick thing, I cannot top that, and it's like, I have an art gallery at Alfred State College. I went for art at the university, but I was a business student, so the president grabbed me, and so I have an art gallery at my college, and so I do love the world of art.
I do too, and actually I collect emerging artists. Well, Peter and I have talked about art a lot, so I would be happy to donate art at any time for a good cause, so we'll talk about that. Final question, and we have to go quickly now because I got the 5-minute warning about 3 minutes ago. So, and this is, I'm not going to say it's self-serving, but I need information. So what is one thing, in your opinion, Jim, I'll start with you, that we can do at NAR that I can take back? One thing that you'd like, one thing that needs to be done, and then we'll go down the row, and then we'll call it a day for the panel.
I think you did it already just by getting rid of the past leader.
Okay, understood. And talking about the past, yes.
The new leader is much better, right?
I think the broker summit is important, because even with startup companies, and again, we've got, I see new companies opening every day, and the training is there for they were kind of the inside, to have something that says, broker summit or training for brokers, startups.
Well, I think that we've been given the heads up, and the thumbs up to, plan our next broker summit here, which is good, so thank you for that. Peter, final,
I would just second what's been said already, that is that I would focus marketing efforts not on the general public, because I don't think it's doing any good. Focus on this, focus on marketing to us. Tell us what we can do to help you and what you can do to help us, to keep the dialogue open.
Thank you very much, Peter, thank you.
And I'll close with, I think we all need, a unified trade association, on a national level. It helps us, it helps our clients and our customers, and I just hope that NAR